Hello and welcome to another video on your VRED Expert YouTube channel. In this video I'd like to show you how you can easily create a dynamic text emboss effect in Substance 3D Designer with presets that change the glossiness, appearance, the text label and color at the same time. So in my scene I came across these small model core ink pots, and in reality they look like this, and you can see depending on the color and the appearance, so if it's a glossy material, a matte material or a silk matte material, they have different labels and numbers embossed, and you can also see that there's a large variety of different colors available on the market. So for my scene I'm not sure how many of these ink pots I need and which colors would fit best. And of course I could model all these caps of these ink pots in 3D. But I want to use a texture approach here and use a bump map and create some presets where I can easily change the color and the corresponding labels at the same time. So I have extracted one of these ink pots in a new scene that makes it a little bit easier for me to explain. And yeah, let's hop over to Substance 3D Designer and start from scratch. So let's create a new package. We leave everything to defaults. Important is that we choose the metallic roughness workflow. And we can start creating our labels. So first thing is we need a text label, and we call that text matte. And we will also change our text type maybe to something like this. This is very close to what it looks in reality. Then we can also change the font size, make that a little bit smaller, and then we will move it upwards a little bit. So maybe something like this. So let's duplicate that node for the number. We give that a dummy number for now. Later we will make that dynamically. And we make the text a little bit bigger, and then we move it upwards, maybe to something like this. We can change that at any time. And we now have to blend both text labels into each other so we can see them. So number goes in the second slot and our text label goes in the first slot, and then we change the blending mode to add linear dodge. So I think this is our first text for the matte colors. So now we have to repeat that 3 times for the semi-gloss and also for the high gloss, which has no text label, only the number. So we can simply duplicate these 2 first nodes, break the connection, and let's move the number actually upwards a little bit, and then we call that SM for silk matte. Make the font size a little bit bigger again. This is how it is in reality. So probably the same size like the number has. And the number again goes into the second slot. And here we have our semi-gloss label. And then for the high gloss, as I do remember, they have only the text label, only the number label, no text label. We can take that node and move it upwards again by using the transform node. And this is probably to the center. maybe somewhere here. As I said, we can change that at any time. So we have blended those ones, and what we now need is a switch that allows me to toggle through these three labels. So there's a multi-switch grayscale node in here, and this allows me to change the number of inputs, and we need 3 inputs, and then connect all 3 into here. And now I can easily toggle through these 3 labels, right? So before this goes into the normal channel, we might want to blur that output a little bit, that we don't get too sharp edges, and we can simply take that blur. It's probably a little bit too much, so we change the intensity to 3 maybe. And then we can connect that into our normal channel. Maybe we will also change to OpenGL, so it's inverted, and you can see that maybe the texture size is a little bit too small for that, but fine for now. Okay, now we also want to expose the color later. So we take that one, and for now we simply change the color to red. Later we will expose that node as well, so we can change the color at any time, or depending on the labels. So next thing we do is creating the outputs for the different glossy behavior. So this can be done in the roughness channel, and we need actually that color node 3 times. So the first node is for our matte color, and as you can see, if you change that to full black, it's very reflective. So for our matte, we can change that to white. Maybe that's too much, because we need some glossiness for the bump effect. Otherwise, we don't see the effect in 3D. So maybe to 8.5. That's cool. That's for our matte color. So we duplicate that. And then we need something for our semi-gloss. So we change that output to something in the middle, 0.5. And then we also need a color node for our high gloss material. And as we have seen before, if I change that to black, it becomes fully reflective. So, and what I now want to have is that multi-switch that I will expose later as a control should also toggle the glossy behavior and not only the text labels. So before duplicating that, I will expose the values in my UI. And as long as these nodes have the same identifier, they can be used multiple times in your graph and have only one control. So let's expose that first of all, and expose it as a new graph input. We call it output color. The label is color, and then we will create a new group. This is then later in VRED where you get the tabs, and call that maybe a mile color. And if I now go to my output graph, you see we have exposed the first value, and this will give me a color control later. So I will do the same for that switch. And what we want to expose here is the input selection. So 1, 2 for semi-matte and 3 for high gloss. So expose that as well. And this input selection is the important one here. So the label is called appearance, I would say. And then we also call that color. And if they have the same group name, they will end up under the same tab in VRED. Alrighty, now we can continue because we have created that control, as you can see here. That's the group, and this is the label appearance. So if I now duplicate that switch here, I have to break the connections, and then I use that switch also for my glossy appearance, and pipe that into my roughness channel. So, and what you can see now is that if I don't want to use a slider, I think I want to use a drop-down list. All right, and the first one is my matte appearance. The second one is my silk matte appearance, and the third one we create is for our glossy. So, and you can see when I now toggle this, I'm not only changing the labels, I also change the glossy appearance at the same time. And what we can do in addition is, because these labels or numbers are embossed, and they would probably create a small ambient occlusion at the outline, which we can't calculate or bake in VRED into our geometry, because this, or into our textures, because this is just a bump map, and that has no effect when baking ambient occlusion shadows in your model. So we will actually fake that, and we can do that by simply taking our output here and blur that a little bit. Maybe with a value of 3. So looks like this. And then we can blend that with our original one, like this. And we change for the blend node, we change that to subtract. So we get something like this, right? And now we have to invert that, and this will create some ambient occlusion fake effect. And there's also an invert grayscale node in here, right? And this is actually what we need. And now this we can plug into our ambient occlusion node and remove the uniform color node. So now we can actually play a little bit with the values. So if I change the intensity of the blur, you can see the effect gets a little bit more. This is all dependent on the texture size you use later in your scene, and also on the height of the bump map. So let's see, we can change that at any time. So, all right. And what else we want to expose is actually this number here. So we can build a variety of matte numbers and semi-gloss numbers and also high glossy numbers. So we expose that text label of the number as well as a new graph and call that number. And this goes into the same group already. Right, and now I'm also able to change the number dynamically in here. All right, so let's build some presets out of that. So I have found that color sheet here, and we will build maybe a red one first for yellow, matte yellow sounds good. So we create that new preset. We call it yellow. For the color, we can do the following. It says it has the raw number 1017, and there's a website where you can simply type that in. Let's make that window a little bit smaller. And then we can simply use the color picker over here and give them a number as well. So yellow is number 15. And this is now actually that color, and we make another one. Maybe it's a good idea to call that matte yellow. Update, and now we create a new one, and we take something semi-matte, maybe that wood brown, number 82. And it has the roll number 8001. This one, and then again we can take the color picker and have created that one. And simply update that, and then now we create a high glossy one, which is maybe very red. Written very red. $3,000. Pick the color and then say update. So now we have our 3 different presets, and of course we can continue and create all of them. I have prepared that already, and we're back in a second. All right, and this is actually how it looks like if you have created all of them in presets. So there's quite a lot. You can also play around and try them out in Substance already. So we will save our file. And then we will publish our SBSR file as well. We can leave everything as default and then press publish. Okay, how does it work in VRED now? So this is my color, and I have created here a material group as well for the cap, because what I want to do is I want to clone actually my model, and if this is a clone, I can only assign one material to the cap. So whatever I assign here, it will appear on the clone as well. So we make a clone out of that first of all. So we take those guys, and then we can press Ctrl C and then Ctrl Shift V. So we have cloned only the geometry, not the whole group node. And then we move that into here, and our material groups are independent. So I can assign two different materials to one instance of the geometry. So let's open the material editor. So we create a new substance material and load our SBSR file in here. And now we can assign that substance material to that material group. Alrighty. Then let's take that color, and we don't see anything. So we have to change our mapping type to either planar, or in my case, I have created some UVs for that cap already. Looks like this. And this is my UV. So the texture is projected somewhere in the middle. Okay, so you can see that actually for the matte colors, there is no gloss that can help to pull out the bump a little bit. So that ambient occlusion helps quite a lot here. It's a little bit better for the semi-gloss material where you get some highlights, and it's very obvious for the high gloss materials that there is a bump. We can also make that bump effect a little bit stronger afterwards, either in VRED. You can change the bump intensity. So if pull that back to 0, you can see that's our fake ambient occlusion we have created. Due to the fact we can't bake them. And here you can also change the intensity of the water, or you do it in Substance itself. You can also influence the bump map intensity in there. Alrighty, and then we can simply duplicate the material and assign it to the other material group of the instance and change our appearance here as well. So semi-beige or light blue, for example. But if we look into our controls, this is what we have exposed in Substance. We can change that at any time. So from solid gloss to silk matte if we like, and we can also change the number or type in here something completely different. And also, of course, change the color if we like. So that's it. I hope you found that video helpful. Let me know in the comments what else you'd like to see, and see you next time. Bye.